Let's go into this education issue that we talked about a little bit last night. New South Wales, big reforms, they say. Several subjects will be dropped from the school syllabus. New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian announced all of those changes. She said she wants to get back to the basics, English, literacy, all of that. However, if you look beyond the headlines, and all of this is slated for 2024, you've got to wonder whether it's actually going to be worse, not better, including, as we saw, the removal of letter grades, so no ABCs anymore for New South Wales. Well, joining me now is someone who knows this intimately, New South Wales leader of One Nation and an MP himself, Mark Latham. Mark, you're the chair of the Education Committee. Before we get into another issue, tell me what you made of yesterday's so-called big announcement, because I was pretty much on the fence last night and I've read more and more and more, and I'm falling away in terms of support.
Well, Peter, what you need to understand is that the New South Wales government has lost control of the education system. When they came to office in 2011, they introduced a policy called Local Schools, Local Decisions, which basically said principals can run the schools with minimal central supervision, standards, measurement and control. And the great tragedy of Australian school education is that the system, the principals with the support of all the social work do-gooders have said, well, really, these schools shouldn't be about academic growth and student attainment. They should be about well-being, this very nebulous concept of well-being, which essentially means if we can make the kids happy and the parents fill out a few surveys to say that little Johnny's a bit happier than he was last year, we're a wonderful school. And not surprisingly, in that environment, with all the emphasis on well-being, New South Wales now has the fastest falling student academic results in the world, not just Australia, the world. And the Masters report, if it was fair income about doing something about this calamity, would dismiss the wellbeing agenda and say these can't be kumbaya wellbeing centres, they've got to be schools, they've got to be centres of academic excellence. Now, he doesn't do that. He actually says they should have more of the wellbeing agenda. It's kind of code for mental health education, even though there's not a single teacher in the system who's been through a medical school. So Masters is adding to the problem in that respect.
So much that wellbeing is a responsibility of parents. So much of what's been crowding into the curriculum is about parents stepping up and taking control of some of those issues for their children, for their mental health and other things. And schools are meant to put the rigour in. I mean, we're being smashed, if you look around the region, in terms of all the league tables. We've never spent more on education, $60 billion as a country, for the worst results we've ever had.
Yeah, well, look at the recent New South Wales Auditor General's report in April, which said that there'd barely be a school in New South Wales that spends the Gonski money on academic growth in the different equity categories, particularly for socio-economic disadvantage. They're spending it on wellbeing programs and clerical and wages initiatives, or they're not spending the money at all. And there wouldn't be a school that's actually got measured outcomes reporting to parents on what their Gonski rivers of gold are delivering in terms of academic outcomes. So that's a disaster as well. But when you go further into Masters, Peter, if it's back to basics, wouldn't you think the first thing would be declare phonics to be the way of teaching literacy? There's none of that. There's one mention of phonics in 150 pages, and that's an adverse mention of phonics. It should be up there in lights. We're going to do phonics to teach children how to read, not whole word torture.
Yeah, look, I picked that up last night. I picked up the absence of phonics, but I didn't realise until I was talking to Blaise Joseph that they were pulling out a lot of the assessment protocols. This is the number grades and other things, and parents were just going to get a whole report of waffle. And I read some comments that you picked up today too about preschools and this gender training. Now, this is a government-accredited course for preschool teachers about queer thinking and about living non-binary. The course is called Sexuality in Early Childhood Education. And once you sign up to it, you go into a Facebook site and you get all the lessons in secret, which worries me no end. And you've got to wonder if all of that stuff's the focus of the officials in New South Wales, is it any wonder our kids are failing?
Well, safe schools are supposed to be abolished in this state, but what you've got is a New South Wales government accredited professional development course, which is teaching the teachers how to do gender fluidity for 3- and 4-year-olds. Is in the preschool, and you can also do it for kindy and year 1 students in the schools. And I've read hundreds of pages of this material as a textbook. They call it an anti-bias textbook. And it's the equivalent of a political indoctrination camp for little kids, because everything they see, the posters on the wall, the arrangement of the room, the doll's house is supposed to have a fair share of transgender characters in there, storybooks are to be relabelled and reworked with different characters who are transgender. Everything about it is politics, identity politics gone crazy, gender fluidity, and the sexualisation of children. This is what's so cruel about it. 3 and 4 year olds have got their little lives ahead of them. They're trying to work out the basics of life with their parents, and all this sexuality training about fluidity and transgender is confusing, it's distressing. The sexualisation of children I regard as a form of child abuse, and the fact that this has just been allowed to happen at the Education Standards Authority, this is supposed to be Standards Authority in New South Wales, under the watch of the Berejiklian government, just shows you how far the government has lost control of any common sense in New South Wales education.
Well, thank you for picking it up. Thank you for causing a stink, and I wish you lots of luck getting rid of it through the Parliament. But I think parents need to get in behind you and back you on this, and ministers need to wake up what's going on in their own departments. Mark Latham, as always, thanks for your time tonight.
Pleasure. Thanks, Peter.